What is going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and welcome to the PGL. This is going to be a preseason game. I kind of already recorded my round one team builder and stuff like that, so this is going to be a little bit out of order, but this is a preseason game I'm having against a good buddy of mine named Mewtwo fan Nate. He is also in the PGL. He has a really scary team, but I wanted to at least have one preseason game so I could get opinions and feedbacks on the graphics I made, what you guys would change, and if you guys want post or live comms, so just make sure you guys comment down below in the actual battle of the game, so I can know what to do for the actual season, see what you guys like. But with all that lovey-dovey stuff out of the way, let's just go ahead and actually talk about his team. He has probably one of the more broken S ranks. He has Yveltal, Mega Swampert, Ferrothorn, Goodra, Politoed, Togetic, Meloetta, Raichu, Scolipede, Miltank, Typhlosion, and Azelf. Now, when you look at his team, he kind of has a weird team because he only has one hazard remover in Togetic. I'm pretty sure Yveltal doesn't get defog. So Togetic is basically forced to come to every single game unless he wants to have rocks on the side of the field. And he has a good amount of rocks weaknesses in Typhlosion, Scolipede, Yveltal. Mega Swampert resists it, but he doesn't appreciate it. Raichu could break its sash. Like, there's a lot of things, and then Azelf is very frail as it is, so it doesn't want to take the extra damage. So Togetic is basically forced to come every single game. As you can tell, he also has a little bit of a rain aspect to his team with the Mega Swampert, Ferrothorn, Goodra, Politoed type deal, and Yveltal also gets Hurricane. So, but his rain options, I think, are more not offensive rain options, and that is important. Because offensive rain options normally lie in things like Tornadus Therian, in Kingdra, in Noivern, and things of that nature, to where it's almost impossible to switch into them. You kind of have to revenge kill them and then get something in for free to live a hit and kill them. To where his are more like, okay, Yveltal, yes, that benefits from it because, I mean, I could run Thunder on something and hit it very hard if I could live a hit, but it's the freaking Yveltal. But Mega Swampert gets Swift Swim. That's basically his only offensive rain mon. And then Ferrothorn just takes fire hits better. Goodra could take Hydration is the ability that it gets. And then Politoed sets up the rain. But realistically, it does absolutely nothing for the rest of his team. It does nothing for Togetic, Meloetta, Raichu, except for making Thunder 100% accurate. Scolipede, it makes it so fire moves aren't super effective, but that thing is frail as a duck as it is, so it doesn't really matter. Then he has Miltank, which makes it thick fat times 2 with fire moves, I guess, but that's about it. And then Typhlosion makes it so it's actually less powerful, and then Azelf doesn't help it whatsoever. So the rain aspect on his team, I didn't have to prep for offensive rain. That is important. I was able to prep for other things on his team, like what I was able to switch into and things of that nature, because he doesn't really have super offensive rain. Goodra can be extremely offensive with like Choice Specs or something like that, or Assault Vest, because it does have an insane move pool. But it's not something like a Swift Swim user. So now that all that is out of the way, let's just go ahead and look at the team that I made for him. And looking at his team, I instantly knew what I had to bring for the first one, and that was my Sylveon, because I needed a way to switch into his Yveltal. So I'm bringing a mixed defensive one with Wish, Protect, Hyper Voice, and Baton Pass. Wish and Protect is because I can live any 2 hits from Yveltal as long as it is not an Iron Tail. I can live a modest Life Orb Oblivion Wing, I can live a modest Life Orb Dark Pulse, I can live any 2 of them. I can live an Adamant Life Orb Rock Slide, Sucker Punch, I can live any 2 with this spread. So I'm able to Hyper Voice it, get off a mad amount of damage, and then go into something that can outspeed it, which, spoiler alerts, I'm not bringing a whole lot that can outspeed it, and just destroy it. I'm mainly hoping that I'm able to wear his team down with Bulk and Toxic, and then just finish everything off with one Speedymon. But this thing is there mainly just for Yveltal. It can switch into other things once Yveltal is weakened and taken care of a little bit, and it can wish up on a lot of his team. But aside from that, this is just a dedicated check to Yveltal. That is basically it. And while that might seem a little naive to do in planning, you have to remember, this is an Yveltal. Like, there's not a whole lot on the team that I can say that is coming to every single game. Like, even the rain doesn't have to come to every single game for him, because if somebody has something that's like a very good water absorber or something like that, he doesn't have to bring Mega Swampert. He doesn't have to. But Yveltal, he can bring to every single game, and it'll blow through Pokemon. So that's kind of where that idea came from. However, it's my only check to it, because that's all I can come up with. I tried coming up with other things like berries, just didn't work out well, so that's a little bit less than ideal. But overall, once Yveltal is taken care of or has some good damage, and I find out that it's Life Orb and not Scarfed or something like that, I'm able to deal with it. Or if it is Scarfed and it locks itself into a move, that's a little bit better, because I can take it even better. I can Wish Protect up to a good amount of health where I can take 3 of them, and then I can just Hyper Voice and destroy it, so that's a plus. Moving on to the next mon, we have right here a Vaporeon set with 188 in HP, 252 defense, and 68 in special defense. This is my designated counter to his, whatchamacallit, his Mega Swampert. I can Wish Protect up on it all day long. I can Scald it, I can Toxic it, I can do basically anything I want to. I'm pretty sure I have Toxic on this thing, right? Yeah, Toxic and Scald. I would honestly rather Toxic it so it loses damage more quickly, just so I have another way of dealing with it pretty well later on. This also acts as a second check to a more physically offensive Yveltal, because if it's a more physically offensive Yveltal, I can switch in on a little bit better, and I can kind of sort of deal with it a little bit easier with this. It's also there mainly just to toxic things. I can switch into the Politoed all day long. I can toxic it. I can have a lot of fun with it, and that's pretty important. I can also toxic things like the Goodra and things that nature, as long as it doesn't have the rain and hydration. But this is mainly there just to get off good chip damage on things and put things in range of my late game sweeper. That's basically what my plan is this entire game, is just to get about 30% on everything at least, and then just destroy it with my late game cleaner. This also acts as a very good check to to Typhlosion if he decides to bring it, which I could honestly see him bringing it, because I do have a lot of things weak to fire on my team, and by a lot of things I mean 2 main things that I'm very reliant on, and that is Jirachi and Runamo. But that's basically Vaporeon, pretty standard, pretty regular. The next thing I noticed about his team is that his hazard options are actually much more thorough than his hazard removal options, so I do not want any of that. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing a Taunt Gligar with Knockoff, Earthquake, and Roost, 244 in HP, 196 in physical defense, and 68 in attack. Now, this set cannot be 2-hit KO'd by a Life Orb Adamant Scolipede, so that's pretty cool. And I can get off about 40% with Earthquake. Then I'm able to roost off damage. It'll do less with Mega Horn and things like that, but I'm able to at least roost up on it. I'm also able to send this thing out as my lead. If he wants to lead off with the Ferrothorn, I'm able to taunt it. He cannot get up any hazards. I can knock off its item. Earthquake, I can keep it from leaf seeding and synthesizing. And then all he has to hit me is Gyro Ball, and I can roost that off pretty decently, honestly. So that's a plus. I'm also able to taunt things like the Goodra if it has no speed. If it's running like a curse set, that's really cool. I'm able to taunt it, lock it into a dragon type move or whatever it has, and that's always nice. I'm also able to taunt the Togekiss, or the Togetic, I'm sorry. Looking back at this preparation that I can't change now because my team is already genned, I probably should have ran enough speed to outspeed uninvested base 100s, which is Miltank, so I can taunt that. However, if that gets up rocks, I'm not super worried about it, because he's also bringing a Miltank, and then I have ways of dealing with that later on in the team. But I really like Gligar this matchup. It works pretty well. I think that he doesn't have a whole lot to hit it. He has like Mega Swampert and then his Rain, which, why would I leave this thing on Rain? That's just stupid. So let's go ahead and talk about the set that I kind of sort of bounce back and forth on the most, and that is my Jirachi set. I'm running a Shukaberry Jirachi with Psyshock, Stealth Rock, U-Turn, and Toxic, with 252 in HP, 244 in special attack, and 12 in defense with a Careful Nature? Calm? I think that's Calm. I can't really look at the spread, but I bounced back and forth with this set a lot because I wanted to be able to completely OHKO Swampert with Grass Knot. And to do that, I needed at least an Expert Belt. So I needed to be able to get up rocks. So I'm like, well, if I lead off with this thing, I can get up rocks. I can also get up rocks against a good majority of his team. Like if the rain is up, I can get it up against Goodra because it can't Fire Blast hurt me that badly. And then I can neutron out on things and I can Toxic it, and it can work out pretty well. So I can get up rocks pretty easily against his team with Jirachi. And then I was like, okay, so I know I need U-turn, I know I need Toxic, and I know I need Stealth Rocks. If I want to be able to OHKO the Swampert, then my last move has to be Grass Knot. He has a Sap Sipper Goodra, he has a Typhlosion, he has a Sap Sipper Miltank, he has a Scolipede, he has a Togetic, he also has an Yveltal, and he also has a Ferrothorn. He has 6 things that can take care of grass type hits, so I just realized that's not the best idea. I would rather run Psyshock, I'd rather just deal with it that way. I'm not super worried about it. And if the Ferrothorn comes in, it gives me a free switch in my Gligar, I can taunt it and I can deal with it that way. Along with the fact that I have other ways of dealing with Ferrothorn in the back. So, that's basically this thing's idea. If I'm able to get Swampert down to a low amount of health, I'm able to live a hit, I'm able to live an Earthquake because of the Sugar Berry, and I'm able to kill with the Psyshock. That is the hope there, along with able to hit the Goodra very hard. Much harder than I could with like a Psychic or something like that because it has insane special defense. This also does a lot of damage to things like the Meloetta. If it's in the Pirouette form, it does a lot of damage to things like the Raichu and the Scolipede if that wants to Earthquake me because Mega Horn is neutral. But that's basically where this idea came from, and I'm not expecting Jirachi to do a whole lot this game. I'm more expecting it to just get up rocks and then maybe Toxic a couple things and deal with it that way. The next mon on the team is actually something that people think is a complete meme pick. That is not a complete meme pick. It actually does a crap ton of work this game. So, remember how earlier on in the video I said his rain sweepers are more bulky? Ferrothorn, Goodra, Politoed, Togetic, Miltank, things of that nature. All bulky. So, I was thinking, they're all bulky, they're all pretty slow, and they all get completely blown back by Rufflet. And this might seem like a stupid idea. However, Choice Banded Hustle Brave Bird does about 70% to physically defensive Ferrothorn. Does about 90% to a Politoed. It completely OHKOs Togetic if it doesn't have its Violate. If I knock it off with Gligar or something like that, it completely OHKOs Swampert, which by the way, I'm running Jolly Max Speed, which outspeeds Adamant Swampert outside of the rain. So I'm able to outspeed it by 1 point if he's running Adamant Swampert. I'm also able to outspeed Goodra. So I'm able, if, I'm trying to think, Adamant Swampert outside the rain, yes, I outspeed that, and then Goodra, if it is uninvested, I outspeed it, and Brave Bird does about 90%. So after rocks, Brave Bird completely destroys things. So then the problem comes in with missing. And the whole theme of this team was just get chip damage off on things, right? So if I'm getting that much chip damage off on things, Choice Banded Aerial Ace still does about 60% to his walls. Like, to Politoed, it still does about 60% if he's just like max HP. It Superpower does a crap ton to Ferrothorn, so that's the really only move that I have to risk when that mon comes in. If you think that's going to be a good switch in. Scolipede, I completely OHKO it if I have a Brox and I can live a hit, which I doubt I can, so that probably won't be a thing. This thing is mainly there for his walls. I can completely blow through all of them. I also outspeed Miltank, and Superpower just completely blows that back as well. So as long as I can hit moves, I should be fine. And that's why I'm running Aerial Ace, because if I'm able to guarantee that I hit something and get off a good 60% on one of his walls, that makes my other wall's job a lot easier of just sitting in and being fat. So that's kind of what my hope is there. But I like this thing in this match. I think it works out pretty well because his main threats that I know he's going to be trying to bring this game, which are his rain, which is his rain, I can just blow back his walls because his main walls are rain. So that's kind of what I looked at with that. Then the final mon on the team is actually going to be my Hydreigon. I'm running Choice Scarf with max speed, max special attack, 4 in attack. Or I'm sorry, 4 in defense with a Timid Nature. I'm pretty sure I did. Pretty sure I did Timid Nature. And this is to outspeed Adamant Swampert in the rain. I completely 110% outspeed it with a Choice Scarf. By 1 point, I outspeed it. So I'm able to Draco Meteor it. It does about 80%, so if it gets a layer of rocks, if it takes a little bit of damage somewhere, it dies to Draco Meteor. I'm able to outspeed Yveltal. Draco Meteor does a lot of damage to it. If his walls are already... Every single time I record, it went from back in the day, if you guys don't know because I have a lot of new subscribers, Skype used to go off every single video. Now, I never have my phone on vibrate, ever, so now, my phone just goes off every single video. But anyway, if his walls are already weakened, like his Ferrothorn, and he thinks that's a good switch into a Draco Meteor, Fire Blast does about 50% to it in the rain if he has like a little bit of Spidef investment, so that's pretty cool. I'm also able to outspeed everything, get off a U-turn, and get off some good chip damage. And then I have Flash Cannon there specifically for the Togetic if he is physically defensive. It does about 50%, so that's pretty nice. And I'm not running Superpower on this thing because I don't think I will need it for his Miltank. If I do, I'm probably going to try to Toxic it and stall it out with my Gligar and put it in a range to where Rufflet can come in and Aerial Ace it with a Choice Banded Aerial Ace. So that's my hope there. But that is basically the team for this preseason game. I hope you guys are excited for the Season 2 start. I know I am. But if you are excited, make sure you leave a like down below. Also, go over to Mewtwo Fan Nate's channel. He's an awesome dude, does awesome content, streams. He's really awesome. I also does TCG openings with Pokemon, and I love TCG openings. One of my favorite things to watch on YouTube, actually. So make sure you go on over to his channel, subscribe to him, and let him know that I sent you. But I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.